Good evening. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition of the Final Whistle. Our illustrious leader, Matt, is down on Bourbon Street testing hand grenades. As we speak, we will get a report from him later on how he's handling the life down there. We may lose him, but, Godspeed, Matt. Good luck down in New Orleans, but we'll make it without you. But, man, we've got the rest of the Avengers here to hold it down. As always, we've got an all-star panel. I'm going to start off with my man to the I'm directionally challenged. I'm going to say right, but I think it's left, you guys, whatever. And that's Dan James, the star of the Bama Standard. What is up, Dan James?
What is up? What is up? Wheel Sports, what's up? What's going on? See Bama, what's up, everybody in the chat? What's up, my panelists? Hey, it's Tuesday night. You know, it's the whistle.
The whistle. My man, who's never short on stern words for the Bama Nation and the Bama football team, bringing his thunder from up north, the man, the myth, Lushan. What's up, sir?
You know what, guys? I'm happy. I'm actually ecstatic for what we got to talk about tonight. We got something special to get into, and I can't wait to get into it. Let's go, fellas. Let's go.
And below him, the always ever diplomatic, probably just prosecuted half of Texas today from all we know, and then still had time to hit up the cigar bar, the one and only Ty Hayes. Ty, how is it going this evening, good sir? I didn't have your tagline. I can't read it to get it right. So if I would have gone for the Gandalf, the protector of the realm, I'd have screwed it all up.
Yeah. Listen, there's nothing to screw up there, right? I'm the disappointer of Grandalf and the keeper of Blaze. So
that
it's nothing to screw up. Happy to be here, guys. I'm aging. Just put some Cubans in the aging humidor. So in about 6 to 7 months, I'm gonna be very happy. But I'm very happy to be here.
And next to him, last but definitely not least, 32 on the field, number one in your hearts. Freddie Millins once dubbed the man talks a lot, so you know he is never short for words. Definitely not short for words on this show. The one and only Chris James. What is up?
AKA TA from GA.
Talk so much, he's done talked his voice out. He's so upset over the Lakers trade, he can't talk. He's speechless.
Yeah, he's in vow of silence.
Well,
all right.
We
will let like I said, once he gets his TA gets his technical stuff, his 56K rolling when AOL connects after a few screeches, we'll get back to him.
But Petty, speaking of connects, you know, one of the things that makes this show possible every week, we got to talk about these connections. And guys, after that Michigan game, y'all know I was real soft. I was real soft for a few weeks. All right, don't ask the wife. Was not happy. But then this weekend, something happened. Something happened that made me and Tide Nation real hard. So hard, in fact, that Lambstone almost bowed out the equation because they couldn't even compete with how rock hard we all were. But it doesn't look as good. Petty, let them know where they can find some real good-looking rocks.
Hey, you can find some real good-looking rocks at Lambstone Company, and that's realrockstone.com. Look, if you're building that dream home, you've seen that home riding by with that beautiful stone on it. You're like, you know what? I need that on my house. Well, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Go to Lambstone today. Because if you've ever dreamed of having that beautiful natural stone, don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Lambstone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all your project needs. They're located in beautiful Aniana, Alabama, and are one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. So contact them today and tell them we sent you using the promo code the Bama Standard and receive 10% off your purchase. So check out Lambstone Company today, realrockstone.com, of course, after the show, and give them some love as they always give us the love by keeping the lights on here. But, man, we got a jam-packed show tonight. Look, first of all, hit that like and subscribe. If you're on the Twitter X, come on over to YouTube, Bama Standard, hit like and subscribe so you get all that content as soon as it pops live here on the YouTube networks. with that said, man, we got a live show. It's never too early to talk about next year. I think we're going to talk a little bit of O-line rotations. No, Chris, you're still doing sign language, brother. No. We'll hear you when you talk. We'll give a big thumbs up.
Honestly, if you can do all of your segments in sign language, I will be unbelievably impressed. Ooh, Matt, which one? Let me know down in the comments.
Ooh, there you go. Also, hey, not what it used to be. This used to be like Christmas for grown men. But man, if you're sleeping under a rock, signing day is tomorrow. Our man Dan James, who is always on top of the recruiting scene, Ty Hayes, who dabbles in the recruiting like a little magic man himself, I'm sure will keep us updated on what Bama's got coming and what surprises. So we're gonna hop into that as always. Then we're gonna get into Blues Danger Zone coming at you hot. I don't know if we're going to do On an Island because half of our island is in New Orleans and the other has gone mute. So we'll see how that plays out. And then we're going to talk a little bit about basketball, man. Again, I don't know if you're paying attention, but that Alabama Crimson Tide just keeps on rolling, maybe rolling to a 1 seed. And is it the depth that is why the secret sauce? We're going to talk about all that and more tonight. So get in that chat, get hopping, ask some questions. We'll get to them. And let's talk a little Alabama football, guys. First off, offensive line, man. Had a little bit of shakeup. Ty was very vocal in his displeasure 2 years ago in the amount of sacks the Alabama offensive line gave up. Got a little bit better last year, but I think can get even better. Got some guys coming in through the transfer portal. We got some freshmen that got a lot of playing time that we're going to need to see take those steps in year 2 for the line to be probably what it needs to be. But I'm going to get y'all's takes. Chris, you with us? You good? Can we talk? Nope. Come in and come out. I don't know, man. Hit. You got mute. You got volume. You got bugged by Russia. All right.
He railed on me last week.
Chris is working on it. We're gonna let the main man of the James family kick this off. It's your Wi-Fi. It's Martians that have stole your Wi-Fi. Okay.
No,
Martians stole Chris's Wi-Fi is what I just read out of that.
No, there you go. There you got
it. I blocked my signal so he couldn't cipher it this time.
Dan has put some voodoo on Chris's Wi-Fi. With that said, any voodoo for that offensive line that you know about coming?
Well, tomorrow, National Signing Day. The only surprise I expect for Bama is if we sign anyone.
Wait, hold on, not offense. We're doing offensive line outlook first. Then we're gonna get to.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but
yeah,
I expect starting in the spring, the typical musical chairs on the offensive line until we find the right 5 guys. The biggest question for me is, right tackle. What are we gonna do? Yeah, we got a lot of ways we could go, but I'm thinking maybe Cam Dewberry. Depends on how Michael Carroll develops. One of the young guys, young offensive linemen, I could see coming in, and contributing along the offensive line, and that'll help out as far as depth concerned. But I really would like to see it be Cam Dewberry at right tackle.
Are they not looking at him at guard, or is it?
Yes, they are. They are, but I think
he gets really at tackle as well.
Yes, I think they're gonna do both. But I would like to see him at right tackle. But then again, we got to replace Tyler Booker. So he is the guy to do it, but I also think Michael Carroll is the guy that could do it. Jackson Lloyd is a guy. Maybe we can even see Jackson Lloyd move to right tackle. He's a very athletic, quick-footed. He's a prototypical tackle, in the Bulls and Grub system. So maybe even Jackson Lloyd.
LaShawn, is tackle the only place that there's a big battle, or is that the spot you're keying in on? And is Will Conformi's the name that Dan didn't mention? Can he got some playing time this year? Do you expect him to step up, or are the guys that Dan's mentioning going to be the ones that take over at the spot?
I would say that, in my opinion, that I would say it's either going to be it's going to be a new guy, a new face at right tackle, whether it be a transfer in there or it be a freshman that just came in, because they signed probably one of the most talented offensive line classes that's ever been signed, regardless of who didn't join the class. This offensive line class is not only impressive, they're actually mean. And that's kind of something that hasn't been constant as an entirety of the class. All four of these dudes will smack you in the mouth for 4 quarters. They're road graders. And in DeBoer's offense and now Grubb's offense, what they like to do, it looks like more of what they like to do with their offensive line. So I think it's going to be probably a freshman. In my opinion, there's going to be a freshman on the offensive line, if not 2.
Woo. Strong takes. A guy who has never won for soft takes, speaking of going hard when it comes to the offensive line, is our man Ty. Ty, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think both these guys have real strong points in terms of what they're looking for. I think Caleb Taylor in the comments makes a really, really good point as well that we really haven't unpacked, and so I will go ahead and do so. He says Proctor, Vandemark, Brailsford, Roberts, and Dewberry is my projected starting 5. And I do think there's something to this, right? I don't know if that would be my current 5, but I think that if anybody is sitting there and you get listed that 5 and you're told, hey, this is the 5 I think could be out there, it's very tough to argue with it. I think one of the things that we talked about a lot last season that, in my opinion, we haven't talked about enough is that Bama batted at 1,000% in the transfer portal last year. Right? Gino Vandemark was great depth on the offensive line. Parker Brailsford was incredible on the offensive line, maybe the best offensive lineman that Alabama had. And that's saying something considering Tyler Booker's probably on his way to being a first rounder. So with the addition of a Vandemark, it does give you some wiggle room. However, Caleb, as much as I do think you're onto something there, as much as I do really like that ability to flex in a guy like Vandemark, I tend to lean more towards what the 2 gentlemen before me have said. I think Michael Carroll's going to start. I think he's sensational. Like, I have not been this bullish on an offensive line commit since Tyler Booker. I haven't. I think he's got all the abilities that you could want. I don't think he's hit his peak. I think he's a guy that's going to grow. LaShawn talked about it. He's mean. Right? Like, you want to talk about, and Bama has gotten some of these guys here recently, but I don't think any of them have come in, at least in the past class or 2. They've gotten some mean dudes, but it's one thing to be mean on the offensive line. It's another thing to be mean on the offensive line with great technique. He's mean with great technique. I think he's going to be an interesting one. My question is, though, could you move some guys around on this offensive line, right? That's, I think, the thing I'm most interested in. But Caleb, I do think, and there is a reason I started off with your comment, because it makes sense, because I think that we often forget about a Gino Vandemark, and we shouldn't. He's solid depth piece. It really allows for Alabama to maximize what they want to do. And so I thought it needed to be discussed. But personally, I tend to agree with the guys that spoke before me. I think we're going to see a true freshman on this unit.
You go, man. Seems like the consensus is there's going to be some new faces along that offensive line. Man, anybody else to add? I'm interested in what they do with Dewberry. That's a big body they brought in for A&M. Obviously, he's going to be able to play in multiple places. If the tackle spot's solidified, I think they could use him at guard, but I don't know. Maybe he gets a shot out there at tackle. We'll figure it out. Yeah. But Chris, have you figured it out with
maybe we let him type out his thoughts.
Chris,
SOS Morse code.
I think I can read this one. Hold on. I think I can read that one.
You know, my sign language isn't good, Petty, but I too know that one.
I think I got this one.
Petty.
Yes, sir.
Another thing people have to understand too, in this offense and in this system, you're going to see possibly more than 5 starting linemen going down the stretch of the season, especially with the 12-team playoff and the extension of the season. You might see a couple different rotations, especially with injuries. And if you look at DeBoer's and Grubb's last offense they ran together, they had 5-6 guys that won that award for them. So it's a good thing that we sit with all these offensive linemen.
That's a really good point.
Well, you brought up a good point in chat. I mean, okay. There you go. Y'all are going back and forth on why don't y'all throw that out there for the public to hear?
Oh yeah, no. So one of the things I've often, and I don't want anybody listening to this and being like, "Oh, this is going to happen." Roberts is an interesting player to me because whenever you look at what Cap and now Ryan Grubb's back, ladies and gentlemen, I said this in my video, and used to coach the offensive line, right? So this is a guy that knows what to do. Joe, to kind of preemptively answer your question, Roberts is interesting to me because when you look at this pin and pull scheme, he is an athletic dude when he's healthy. The problem last year is he played banged up, but when he's healthy, he gets out there in space, and I think he's got the feet with Cap, with Grubb there to continue working on him to be a piece that you can move around. So one of the things I've always wondered is, okay, if you have a guy in Roberts that's so athletic and you know you could have him as a pulling tackle, could you slide him out to right tackle, put Gino at right guard, and then put Michael Carroll at left guard? And maybe not, maybe absolutely not. But it just kind of speaks to the freakish athleticism of Roberts that thought would even cross your mind, right? That's just me thinking internally, and then Petty saw my private chat message and brought it to light. So
sorry.
Yeah, no, he's
I
just
thought
super
it was a good
athletic.
debate. I thought it was a good debate to be had publicly if it was, something like,
For
hey,
sure,
man,
for sure. He's just super athletic. And
my
that to
wife's
me is
coming
just
at me with a butcher knife, I wouldn't have made it, public or anything. Hey, before we go to good stuff, guys, before we go to our next topic, instead of holding them to the end, we got a couple of, time sensitive or time worthy that I think we can go ahead and address now before we get to the excitement of National Signing Day, which I know everybody's going to not be able to sleep tonight, man. Now we can't even see Chris. We can't hear him, can't see him. We're going to have to send out an SOS at some point on that guy. But look, Caleb Taylor, are y'all happy with Coach Cap? Anybody want to Lou?
I'll head that off real quick. Hey, I just said it. In my last segment. Look at this last class that we just signed. Like that. Once everybody sees A-Day and what happens going on in the season, you're going to see that these freshmen are different, and that is directly because of Cap. You saw the difference in the bodies in the guys in the offensive line. They weren't all pancake and dough looking this year. That's the coach. That's the coach. I know everybody's not like, oh, we weren't like the most best offensive line. We have to give it time. You have to give them time to get all the bad seeds out, which they did. And you have to develop the younger talent. Well, guess what? Cap's got his guys in there. He doesn't have to worry about working with guys that he necessarily doesn't fit their scheme. And I think how Grubb likes to run his offensive line, I think him and Cap are going to make some sweet, big line moving, destroying machines.
Nice. Anybody else to add to that?
I'll go because I 100% agree with everything he just said. Recruiting, A+. A+. I mean, what a class. But then when we look at what he actually did on the field, gentlemen, they cut the sacks in half. I mean, you're talking about an Alabama team last year that ranked like 129th. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but you guys know I've talked about it for 2 years now. Bama has not had a very good offensive line in terms of product, not in terms of talent. The talent has been there, but in terms of product, hasn't been good since 2020. I mean, you're talking about a unit that has been below 80th higher than 80th in the nation, right? So you're talking about the bottom percentage of all college football in sacks allowed. And people I know will point out and they say, oh, well, that's Milroe. It happened under Bryce Young as well. I mean, we remember that Bryce Young year where it was like Bryce Young drops back and he has to do absolute magic just to get a chance to throw the football. There were talented guys up there. Doug Marrone didn't work. Wolford didn't work. Coach Capps comes in, cuts that number in half. Mind you, you're going from one side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum in terms of what the offensive line was asked to do. Under Wolford, it was about how big can we get so that we just stonewall. Under DeBoer and Coach Cap, it's about slimming down, getting out in space, pinning and pulling. Two totally opposite sides of the spectrum, and they were better. Like, there's no question they were better this year than last. Yeah, I'm very happy with Coach Cap. Very happy. And I can't wait to see what he does with another year.
Dan, anything to add that before we move on?
Yeah, definitely. Tremendous job by Coach Cap. You know, the class that he signed, that tells you, you know, all you need to know about him as a recruiter. You know, and the guys, you know, and you got to understand, he had to come in on short term and get these guys ready for the season. And I think he done a tremendous job of doing that. You know, so he, you know, now he got all the offseason, the 4-quarter program and everything, got spring. So I expect to see even more improvement going into this season.
All right, one more before we move on to recruiting real quick. Joe Edwards says, will Grubb help develop the offensive line more?
Well, I don't know as far as development, but being more aggressive, allowing them to, you know, establish the run a little better, I think he will help in that end. That's what we got, some guys that are road graders, you know what I'm saying? You know, we got, I think Robert's gonna really benefit from it. You know, that's a guy, speaking of him, I like to see eventually at left guard. I think that's his most natural position. You know, I love to see him pulling out on the edge and, you know, doing his thing. You know, I would love to see that, you know, but I think they will definitely benefit from having Grubb as offensive coordinator.
Kyle, Lou, y'all agree? Anything to add?
Yes, I agree. He was a former offensive line coach. It's not like he's going to be in the trenches every day with those guys, but he knows what DeBoer wants to accomplish. Nick Sheridan and Tommy Reese, I think, are very similar to each other in that they're both high upside guys in terms of their future calling offenses. I think both of them are going to be very good. Both young. They're both still learning a feel for the game, and that's why I think at times you'd watch Bama's offense and you'd think, this is magic. At other times, you're like, why are we not doing X, Y, and Z? It's because you have a young offensive coordinator, inexperienced, who's trying to get a feel for the game. You don't have that issue with Ryan Grubb, and the experience coaching running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, offensive line. It's going to help.
Mr. Lou?
I mean, as a whole, absolutely. I mean, you guys just got to look and see what this man's done in his career. Every year that he's been at a place, he has made that place better offensively as a whole, whether it's the passing, the running game, everything. So what he's able to do with an offensive line, he's obviously been able to develop them to be able to protect the quarterback, because the numbers of sacks has gone down every year, but the number of production has equally quantified. And that right there is what needs to be looked at. What the offensive line is able to allow our offense to do will be It's going to be amazing, guys. I'm very excited about this hire. Very excited.
There you go, Joe. Well, speaking of excitement, one of the things that used to be the most exciting thing for all of us, just like hardcore football freaks, it's National Signing Day. Like, I mean, it was Christmas for years. Like, you lost Christmas, the magic of it. Man, we might have kids listening, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. But look, it became Christmas. Santa Claus was coming on signing day. But with early signing periods, the transfer portal, man, it almost seems like, signing day, there would always be that one or two player everybody was flipping out about that went down to the wire that was going to make a decision on noon or pull the hat or whatever. It just seems like some of that's gone, or maybe it's not. Maybe Dan has some surprises in his magic hat of recruiting knowledge that I don't know about that we should be all excited about and bring back some of that old school signing day magic. Dan, is there any of that going on this signing day, or is this class pretty much locked up with Keelan and company? You've gone.
I'm sorry. There's going to be some surprises, but unfortunately, it won't be for Bama. I do expect some surprise. So, it'll be worth tuning in to watch just for, to see other teams melt and everything. But
who give us the surprise? Is Auburn going to melt? Tennessee? Is someone we hate going to be melting?
We will see. You know what I'm saying? I expect there to be a couple of surprises, but not for Bama. So if we do sign someone, it'll be, probably some under the radar guy, but we're not looking at anyone yet. We're waiting for the second portal to open up, the post-spring portal. Then I think that's where we'll start seeing more action as far as Bama's roster is concerned.
Ty, I know you're a man that likes to delve into the recruiting circles. Is Dan pretty much on it? And look, I'm trying to drum up some excitement. It used to be one of my most exciting days, but I think it's, like I said, you pretty much got your class locked in at this point.
Listen, I can play devil's advocate for pretty much anything. It's tough for me to play devil's advocate for this, right? And let's just really be realistic about this. I think there will be some fireworks, but it's going to be like the fireworks show that they play at the retirement home, right? It starts at 5:00 when the light's still up because the old people are going to be asleep, and you don't really want to scare them because you don't want to have to clean them off. So that's what this signing day has become, where it used to be. I remember I'd skip school in high school, right, for signing day. That was one of the greatest things ever. But whenever you look at how the transfer portal is positioned, the one in December, a lot more guys are making their business decisions early. A lot more guys are early enrolling. And luckily, Bama was the beneficiary of having a lot of their class early enroll. So it's still a great time to be a college football fan, still a great time to be a recruiting fan. But I can't sit here and lie to you and say this is the signing day of old. It's not. The real action-packed signing day is the one we get in December. That's where you're getting, I think, the most action. Inevitably, there are always guys who end up kind of pushing back from December into this period because a new team emerges. So you have that every once in a while, but this isn't like the days of old, guys, and it kills me to say.
No, it's not. You make a great point. Look, Mississippi kids are notoriously dramatic in their recruitment. A.K. Deere, the top running back, he's on campus at Alabama right now. There's no magical bag going to be dropped off in the middle of the night from Starkville, Mississippi, or Oxford to try to keep that kid in the state. Alabama's got him locked up. So I'm with you. It doesn't have, and maybe that's good or bad. I don't know. I liked it. It was like you said, you took off from school. I woke up on signing day morning like I was 7 years old and Santa just come down the chimney to see, wake up at 5 to see the names start rolling in and looking at the times for who was going to pick hats up at what time. But Lou, you're never short on words, and you're pretty dialed into the social aspect of it. Is there any surprises? Look, Bama anywhere. Something exciting going to happen tomorrow. Somebody's heart going to be broken on some team that we hate.
I mean, I'm doing I really can't divulge what type of dance I'm going to be doing after the show to put some voodoo on certain teams that are orange, but I have not been read in on any surprises, and it's 2025. They're pretty social about, where they're thinking about going, and everybody's pretty much at this point already signed or made their decision or gave a major hint. I don't know about that Jason guy in the chat, but giving a hint to where they're going. So I think it'll be pretty much just any other day at Alabama. I think it's going to be a work day. So there might be. I got to keep an open eye. It is 2025, so we could be surprised. I hope we are. I'm not expecting it because then it wouldn't be a surprise.
No, there you go. I don't. To be honest, I completely forgot signing day was this week until someone mentioned it on the show. And then we talked about it. I'm like, all right. So
I don't think you're alone.
No, that just bothers me, man. I do miss that. I miss the excitement, man. I miss the thrills and the spills and the heartbreaks of, and then starting to get into accuse some team like Jason's Tennessee Balls of paying some recruit to go to Tennessee instead of our team. Yeah, like I said, we're trying to build some recruitment exciting. But look, if you want to be excited that Keelan Russell's coming to town and he's locked in. You don't have to worry about it. Be excited.
Be excited for the spring window.
Yeah, be excited for the spring window. With that said, you want to really be excited for Ann, who's dropping those super chats here at the final whistle. Ann with the $4.99 super chat. Great guys, great job, guys. Keep up the excellent work. No, thank you, Ann, for supporting the show as always. You on the show last night with us, so we appreciate you for sticking around and listening to all of our super hot takes. With that said, got to give a little love before we go on to our next segment and talk a little Alabama basketball, which Chris is out. I'm the only Dan's my basketball guy. He's with me. Before we get to that, though, if you're headed to Coleman Coliseum anytime soon, you don't want to go empty-handed without that title towel. Go to whitwillsports.com today. Order that title towel. Give them the promo code STANDARD and get a 20% discount and support one of the best supporters of the Bama Standard in the final whistle, and that is Whitwill Sports. whitwillsports.com. Go check them out today after the show, of course. Title towel. Have your title towel in hand the next time you head to Coleman Coliseum, and let whoever Bama's opponent is know that they're about to get their ass kicked. With that said, Whitwill, man, always in the chat. We love you, brother. We love your support. And, man, and we know you're loving what's going on that basketball court. Alabama basketball, again, I know my man Ty and Lou are going to look at us like we got three eyes. So Chris, our man TA, this is one he likes to rattle on. So it's going to just be me and Dan, I guess. And if Ty and Lou want to chime in, but Alabama.
No, I'm looking at the Luka reactions in Dallas. Y'all take over.
Ooh. We want to touch on the Dallas Mavericks making maybe one of the dumbest, this is not, you don't want to say the name because people will freak out, but this is like trading Babe Ruth to the Yankees for a play. Traded a 25-year-old, cornerstone, franchise player to the Lakers who can build off that and let LeBron actually ride off into the sunset right into that for a guy that is the nickname Street Clothes for how much he sits on the bench hurt. Wow. Woo.
I'm 20 minutes north of American Airlines Center.
Yep.
And every day I keep checking just to see what the new craziness is. Did y'all see them take the coffin
Dumb.
to American Airlines? Did you see that, Petty?
No. No, I
Yeah,
haven't seen that. I know it's
find the video
crazy.
and send it. People took a coffin to front of American Airlines Center and just played that bad boy there. So while y'all are talking basketball, I'm gonna
Well,
get
I'm not
updated.
look, and I don't normally, dive off. We're gonna talk a little Alabama hoops, but that was one of the biggest trades. I think that's one that everybody, if you're a sports fan in general, you kind of turned your head like, what just happened? Did that what?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I looked at my phone in the
There's
middle
like
of the night
nine
and saw
thumbs
that. I'm
of
like, there's no way. No way.
I listened to some former NBA All-Stars and champions, and I did used to hoop back in the day, but that was a long time ago. But they actually agree with the trade, and they had some pretty convincing arguments on why Dallas actually won this right now. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with them. So
right now,
I'd love to hear it because I don't think that Dallas won this in the slightest, but maybe I'm open to be proven wrong because I'm not the most knowledgeable NBA guy. I will admit that.
Where were you
well,
when they traded Luka? Sorry.
dang,
When they built that,
it's real
ladder
over there.
to heaven.
Ty, are the lights gonna go low? And we're gonna need to throw some music on.
Yeah, I'll get the fog machine out.
Yeah. Just put up a light, make sure you're still okay.
So there's an argument why Dallas won this trade by getting the old guy.
Well, as of right now, because they were saying that Luka wasn't the new owner's guy, as far as what they were saying, and they were also saying as far as putting Anthony Davis on a team where he can potentially be that 1A type of player would vote well with what they have in their locker room right now, as far as going to win a championship right now. Now, I'm not saying as far as what it is moving forward, but as far as winning a championship, as of right now, position, Dallas has the upper hand.
yeah, I would agree as far as that. I think this move for the Lakers was more about selling tickets than winning. They were trying to secure their superstar for the future, and they did that by getting a player of Luka Doncic's caliber. But as far as winning now, I don't think that bodes well for the Lakers right now. So I would agree on that aspect of it.
Yeah, but you're getting a 25-year-old cornerstone. Man,
But you still got to make moves if you want to win this year. The Lakers were in a better spot with AD to win a championship this
but
year.
What player has not gotten that much better playing with LeBron James, and you give him that type of it's not going to be good. And then you put the attitude in Luka like, oh, you just did me that dirty. Superstar doesn't need a reason to be super, and now you just gave him a reason to be super.
Right, but you look at the Lakers. The Lakers were shopping for a big man. They were shopping for a big man, and they're in a worse situation now because they traded their best big man away, and still don't have the big man.
But he's always hurt. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You can get people to come to LA to play with Luka. I think it. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to. Speaking of championships, the team that wears crimson is fighting for one of those as well on the basketball court. And a lot of it might have to do with the depth that is just rolling in each night, whether it be Diabate, whether it be Holloway, whether it be Youngblood to transfer from USF. Every night there's a player coming off that bench dropping 20, or Diabate getting the hard hat award with a double-double. But, man, if you're not paying attention, the SEC is just a nightly just viper pit. You can, Tennessee goes to Florida and loses by 30, then beats them by 20 at home. Kentucky goes on the road and beats Tennessee, then loses to Arkansas and Rupp and Cal. I mean, it's just – and Alabama gets a week off, gets to get their legs up under them, and then heads to Arkansas Arkansas's record may not look flashy, but they got 2 first-round draft picks under Cal right now. You're playing them in Arkansas. Alabama with that ranking, you're going to get their best shot. It's every night in the SEC is just unbelievable. But I tell you what, Alabama is showing why they've only got 1 loss in the SEC. There's only 1 undefeated team, and it's Auburn. But it's looking like the state of Alabama could have 2 number 1 seeds right now. And look, I think Alabama's depth gives them a leg up going into March. Dan, we text during games. I know you get excited about it. What's your thoughts? Is the Bama depth going to be what gives this team a chance to make a deep, deep run in March?
Without a doubt, man. We got Chris Youngblood. He's getting his legs under him. Man, it's a shame that we couldn't have the full team with Right Sale. Can you imagine with the shooting with Right Sale, Youngblood? How dangerous this team could be. But man, even Jaron Stevenson starting to hit a few more shots.
That's right.
He's always giving us something on the defense end. I forgot Mo Diabate.
Hard hat award every night, man.
Every game, and that's what we need. So this is a complete team. I really like this team. The depth is tremendous. We even got guys redshirting because we have so much depth that we'll be starting on a lot of other SEC.
Oh yeah.
And Aiden Sherrill, shout out to him. He played his best game of the season. So we got guys starting to come around. We still got young guys that can improve. And once Youngblood gets it together, Mark Sears gets his shot back and his rhythm back. Grant Nelson still hadn't played his best game. He's still that guy. So it's a lot of opportunity ahead. And us playing that tough schedule. Now we played the toughest schedule. 3 years in a row.
Right.
And for us to get this break, it's much needed. We can refresh. Get ready for Saturday. It's a much needed break, and it came at the right time. Our guys can rest up, get fresh, regroup. Get that rotation together, find their shots. I look forward for a big second half of the season.
I do too. I really do. I get very excited about this team the more I watch it play, and it is because that depth. You take a night like against LSU, a team that's one of the bottom half of the SEC, but they come out fighting, and your star player is having his worst game of the season, and you bench him, and you still pull away in the second half of that game. Well, that's depth. When you can bench your ace and Sears and still have enough guys step up to pull away in an SEC game, come March, you got guys that are just bleeding themselves. And then the very next game, you go on the road to Starkville, Mississippi. And what did Sears do? He didn't pout. He put on his big boy pants, had his best two days of practice, according to Oates, of the whole season, and comes out and just works Mississippi State. So, no, it's very exciting. Depth is the key, and that's not something that everybody has. You look at, I think Auburn right now probably top end the best team in college basketball. Duke, they've got the best player in college basketball in Cooper Flagg, but it's the Cooper Flagg show, and that's it. And then you got Bama. I think Bama is the most dangerous team in college basketball with the most depth. So that bodes well to trying to win 6 when it comes to March. So I'm pumped about this, man. I know we're in football air. I know Lou down there is like, enough damn basketball. Lou, you got anything to say about it? If we got you excited enough about basketball to start paying attention?
I mean, I've been lightweight paying attention. I mean, it's sports, and I can't deny it's the Crimson. So I've been paying attention, but no, not just yet. Getting close though. Getting close though.
It's coming. Wait till we knock off Auburn in a couple weeks, and then it'll get in you, because that's going to be a damn heavyweight matchup. Ty, I know it's.
I'll watch that game.
They're playing basketball.
I'll watch that game.
Basketball. So Luka got traded. Is that what you're telling me? All right. Look, if you're not paying attention, your head's on a rock. Bama basketball is indeed rolling. Checking out the Tide going to Arkansas next Saturday. Going to be a big matchup. Arkansas is coming off hot after a big win at Rupp. They're always dangerous. They do the pig call. It gets very deliverancy up there. It gets a little hiccup there from time to time. With that said, guys, sorry there will be no on the island tonight. We're seriously off on an island. Matt's on some island in New Orleans doing God knows what, and we've lost Chris to the internet abyss island. So with that said, man, I guess it's just time to go a little dangerous and go to the danger zone with Lou Sean. Lou, you got something for us tonight, big guy?
I do. I think with the hiring of Grubb, I think we're going to get back to the competition that has been lacking on our team and more specifically in our offense. I think with the energy he brings, with what I've been able to derive from the different programs he's been and the success he's been able to create competition and make the game fun. It's not so much as an experiment because the man, as we said, he's had experience. So Alabama in the danger zone tonight is getting back to that iron sharpens iron mentality. I think that has slipped away from the last couple seasons. And I think that's something that built this program on, listen, we have the best athletes, regardless of what rating they are. If they sign at Alabama and don this crimson, they are one of the best players in the country. That being said, they need to compete with each other like it, because the only thing they're going to do is make each other better. If the offense gets rolling, it's going to give our defense that much better of a look. It's going to give our receivers that much more depth. It's going to give our running backs that much more experience. So in the danger zone tonight, I'm putting the whole entire offense and, more importantly, the team on notice. They need to get that iron sharpens iron mentality back.
Good point.
Dan?
Yes, definitely intensity. Who was Deontay Lawson said that, that they lacked intensity in practice, that which is a testament to the difference in Coach DeBoer practice and Coach Saban's practices. Bring back the intensity, man. Let's make practices back harder than games again for us. Let's get after it in practice. Then the games are easy. Good point, Lou. We are definitely, especially on the offensive side of the ball, let's get back to attacking. Let's attack team. Let's dictate the team rather than have team dictating us.
Well, I'll pose a question then, Grubb. That was the big news. It was, the history of trying to get him here is no secret, but now he is here. What does he bring to the table? Is it going to be that much different of a playbook? Does he have something? Is he have a better grasp, a better feel, a better dial on that playbook? Is that the magic that's going to be different than Sheridan? I see Ty. I'm asking this question for a reason, because I think people are seeing him come in like, oh, it's going to be. I don't think the playbook's going to be any different. So the question is, what does Grubb bring that Sheridan doesn't to this playbook?
So for me, it's just
Creativity.
like, well, that, and it's just like, so I've talked about this before. I'm currently studying for the LSAT, and one of the things I've done is I'll finish a chapter and then I'll go back and reread that chapter, right? Just to try and familiarize myself with the concepts. If you think of it in terms like that, Nick Sheridan was on chapter 1 or 2 of about a 10-chapter book, right? Just because he's only called plays once before at Indiana. So he's still figuring things out. Now, that's not to say that he's unfamiliar with chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 10. He knows about them, but he's really well versed in chapter 1 and chapter 2, working his way through chapter 3. Grubb has read the chapters multiple times. He's got the notebook. He can regurgitate the information off the top of his head. That's the difference. You're right, Petty. I don't think you're going to see some massive difference in playbook, but it may look so different that someone might be excused for thinking it's that different. But it's just familiarity with what one coach wants to accomplish. Furthermore, I started the show earlier and I talked about how Grubb has coached running backs. He's coached wide receivers. He's coached quarterbacks. He's coached offensive line. So he can take a look at every single room that's on this offense, look at what the players are able to do, and formulate a plan of attack that's going to be able to coincide with what Kalen DeBoer wants to do. 1, because he has the familiarity with the playbook. 2, because he has the familiarity with Kalen DeBoer. And 3, because he's super experienced in all of these different facets of the offense. So I think that's where you're going to see something different, is someone who has a deep understanding of what the right thing needs to look like.
Also, too, we're getting somebody that has defeated some major defensive coordinators. He has beat some very, very talented defensive gurus with his offensive scheme. And I know everybody, you could say the argument that Washington, they were great, but the talent he has at Alabama is, I'm telling you, it's going to be different. And it's going to be so different to the normal fans' eye. It's going to be like, well, this offense is totally different. Why are we got guys running slants across the middle? Why do we got running backs running the ball? It's basically what it is like when you hire a pilot, you got the all-star coming out of the class. Yeah, he's nice and shiny. Do you want the guy that's nice and shiny, or do you want the guy that's flown 300 successful missions? I want the experience. I want the guy that's proven to be able to get down and get dirty in a dogfight, and he's proven that. Hell, he beat the entire West Coast handily 2 years in a row. The best they had to throw at him, he defeated them. So to me, with what we have, all the weapons that he's going to be able to use, and remember, he only had a limited running back room at Washington. We got a stable at Alabama. He only had a few wide receivers that he could juggle around. We got wide receivers for days. So I think it's going to be yeah. I'm happy, so that should tell you something.
Can't you tell he's happy?
I think if you're a fan of the running game, and I think this is something that Alabama fans have not shied away from talking about week after week after week, even in the offseason, go to our comment section. It has definitely been one of the most predominant ideas discussed. You got to like what Ryan Grubb did at Washington in terms of the running game. You got that bell cow and Dylan Johnson. You can only imagine what he can do with a guy like what we got in Jan Miller. But not just that. Number 9 reminds you a little bit of Bo Scarborough when he hosts that rock. He gets to that line, what he can do with him. I'm very excited, and I saw what he was able to do with his running backs in the passing game. That should get people really excited. So we're not going to have any kind of offense like we saw last year. It's going to be opened up because we have a guy that can run that system the way they're supposed to. But more importantly, he's got personnel like he wants to run that offense. He's got a quarterback who can throw vertically and who can read a defense, who can make changes as far as protection along the offensive line. That opens up a lot as well. You're going to find out, hey, we do got some wide receivers, and maybe they are as good as what he had at Washington. He had 2 first-rounder and an early second-rounder. He has some weapons. We're going to find out Alabama has some weapons that may be as good, if not better. So there's a lot to be excited about.
Dan, you're the only one that hasn't spoken on this. Do you share in this excitement and feel like Grubb is going to have that type of impact on the offense based off his knowledge of it, based off, just the familiarity and the continuity?
Yes, because I think in particular we struggled a lot, especially with scripted plays. You know, it was terrible, man. It was terrible. You think of how many games did we start fast outside of Georgia? You know, I can't name another game where we started like that. But you know, I think we'll improve in that aspect of it.
We started real fast for Michigan, just not in the same way.
Right. That was a disaster. Yeah. You know, if anything at all, I expect us to make the biggest improvement in that part. You know, and plus, you know, better ball control. You know, better. You know, situational offense. So, you know, like you say, Lou, you know, we got a veteran play caller, a guy that's proven in big games that he can get the job done. And, I think everyone around the University of Alabama should be very excited.
Here you go. And he gets a new toy in the prize of the recruiting class that is, Keelan Russell coming in at quarterback. So it's exciting. I'm excited to see what he can do, man. There's, I like it does have something to say about experience. It's like anything, man. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but doing it during a game live, it's a whole different ball of wax having a feel for a game and in-game situations. So there's no doubt I think Grubb brings that experience that's going to take it, to another level on game day. But that said, man, been a heck of a show. We do have one more segment left that points my direction, and that's my weekly mailbag segment. We've actually got an internal question and then an age-old question that I'm going to answer tonight and set straight for all the weirdos in the world, where I'm right and the majority of you are wrong. So first question, internal question from the Bama Standard. I'm not going to give, it's anonymous. I'm not going to give away who it was, but great question. Do you think Quinshon Judkins improved his draft stock transferring from Ole Miss to Ohio State? Man, that's something I hadn't really thought about much since I watched the championship, and it really kind of pissed me off for the first time. I'm like, this is just dumb. You've got the best defensive players from Alabama, your best offensive players from Ole Miss, your quarterback. It's just dumb.
Big 12.
It just didn't like it, but that's what we have. Only thing he did was he got himself a championship ring. Give him credit for that. He maybe took some tread off the tires because he traded time with Henderson, but I've yet to see him crawl up into any draft, mock draft as the number one in the first round. He was the exact same projection that he was while at Ole Miss. And if anything, he would have been a feature back this year at Ole Miss and probably could have improved his stock and maybe crept into the first round. But,
right.
You did what you did. You went and took that money. You got a little tread on the tires, won him a championship. But no, I think that I don't think he improved his draft stock at all. I mean, I think, I think in the SEC, we're at a point now where it used to be, well, you got to go to one or three or four schools to really get looked at. No, you can go to Ole Miss and get drafted the same you can at Ohio State. So, No, I don't think he did. Do we have a good chance of getting tanked? Ooh, I'll save that one for Dan. That's a good question on our final question segment. And then finally, I had somebody send me something that was a statement from the people at Heinz that make the wonderful comment, ketchup. I grew up in the restaurant industry. My dad always had stuff going. And so I grew up around ketchup that didn't go into a refrigerator. I don't like putting warm food into cold ketchup. I don't like putting cold ketchup on a warm hamburger. I think it's dumb as hell. You don't do it anywhere you go eat except apparently your house. And this is one of those things where I realize 99% of the people I'm talking to on this show right now, if you go into your house, you've got ketchup wrongly in the refrigerator. It doesn't go there. But somebody thought it would be smart to send me a statement from the Heinz ketchup company saying that it, in fact, is supposed to be put in refrigerator after opening. I'm here to tell you they're a liar. That's fake news. Don't do that shit. Unless you don't go through a whole bottle in 2 years. I don't know what the hell you're doing. First of all, do you not eat French fries? You not eat hamburgers? You not eat chicken fingers at home? What the hell are you doing? You should go through ketchup a little faster than that. But if you put it in the refrigerator, you're killing it. You don't go to Outback. You don't go anywhere in the world outside of your house and get cold ketchup. So why the hell do you do it in your home and run your food? You're running your own food. You're just doing it to yourself. And I'm here to tell you, and I get it. 99% of you go in, I get it. All of y'all have it in your refrigerator. You're all wrong, and I'm right. And I don't care that Heinz and their communist name Heinz. That's what is that? That's Russian, right? They're communists, so I don't care what they say anyway. Congrats on making the ketchup. That don't mean you know what the hell to do with it after. So I'm right, you're wrong. Ketchup does not go in the refrigerator. And that's my mailbag. I guess we can get the Q&A from and look, you know what Heinz said at the very end? They were like, you know what? But we get that restaurants don't put it in refrigerators and keep it on the table, but that's because they go through it so fast. And more times than not, they change it out every night. Heinz, I don't know the last time you went to a restaurant, but I worked in them all through college. We don't go through that shit every day. And guess what happens at the end of the day when there's that much left? It goes into another bottle. So it just makes a big freaking ketchup cocktail. And no, it doesn't get changed out every night. That shit will sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then you put it on your french fries.
Hey, Petty, let me
ketchup expert. You're welcome.
Let me get somebody put ketchup on your Denny dog.
Dude, man, I will.
Ketchup.
You won't like. You can come in my house and do a lot of things, but like if you come in my house and get ketchup, and then at the end try to help clean up and put it in the refrigerator, we might fight before you leave my house.
Petty, I
What
think
you're saying is I can come and give an upper decker so long as I leave the ketchup.
Upper decker.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what you come
I
here.
gotta
You
hop
come
off,
to
guys.
the
I'm
Bama
battling my
standard and the
camera.
final whistle for ketchup rants. That's what we're here for.
Petty, the bigger question here is who hurt you?
Jack.
Who hurt
Ketchup,
you? Petty?
obviously.
The first asshole that came to my house and put my ketchup in the refrigerator. That's who hurt me.
Let's unpack that a little bit. Let's go beyond. Is there a more mental or spiritual reason where someone hurt you and you associate that hurt with a bottle of ketchup that's somewhat cold?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Can I ask you a question?
I probably went to spend the night at somebody's house and they gave me cold ketchup and I was unwise and I just put it on my, none the wiser, put it on my plate and then put my ketchup and then I'm like, you just ruined my food, asshole. That's probably where I got hurt. No ketchup on my Denny dog. Well, it's supposed to be a mix of ketchup, mustard, and kraut that's all stored in a vat under the stadium all year. That way it ferments into a perfect mixture of whatever the hell they put on that hot dog. And that's what goes on the Denny dog. We don't even get on Denny dogs.
That's actually shipped in from Hogwarts.
Yeah.
That and indigestion.
I just want you to look up when they took the actual Denny dog out of Bryant Denny in the last time Alabama won a national title in football and get back to me.
We'll get our guys on that. We'll get the nerds in the back office to start looking up the information to back that.
Who's our stat guy? Look that up. Question and answer. I think the lovely folks, Caleb Taylor, guys, recruiting question. How is Bama looking with Xavier Crowell and Braylon Womack? I'm going to give that to my man Dan and Lou. I know y'all know your ins and out. Dan.
Well, I look at the visits. We've had Xavier Crowell on campus recently. I like where Bama sits with him. We're still, evaluating. I guess I could say, lack of a better term. Braylon Womack. I think, it'll come down to NIL with him. I'm not sure, but we shall see. But I like where we sit with Xavier Crowell right now, more so than Braylon Womack.
I do want to share a little nugget on Braylon Womack. Yes, NIL is big in terms of his recruiting, but and this is news that you won't get anywhere else. Alabama has not provided any in-home visits for Braylon Womack. I have been told the coaching staff has not gone over to Hartfield Academy and visited with them. I think if Alabama were to take a bigger interest, we may be a bigger player in his recruitment right now. I mean, he's in our top 12. If you show him a little bit of personal TLC, then we can go from 12 to 8 to 6 to 4 and possibly to 1. Yes, NIL is a big player in decision-making of a lot of these kids, but so is being shown love by the top programs other than just getting a letter in the mail or being contacted or invited over for a game.
All right.
Dang, there you go.
Ooh. Well, too, we just hired a new coach too, so maybe that's in the works.
Yeah,
maybe that's in the future. Because, we did fire our safeties coach, so, that might have something to do with the lack of visits. I'm not saying it did or excusing them. I'm just simply creating perspective.
All right. Good point.
All right. Joe Edwards, will Grubb help develop the offensive line more? I think we answered that one earlier. And we hit those two in the transition, Justin. Those are the only two we hit, though. Anything after that, we didn't get anything else. All right, Joe Edwards. Do you think they will have plays for Russell to keep him from transferring? I think Lou thinks they're going to have a lot of plays for Keyline because I think he thinks Russell's going to be the man. Lou?
I mean, I think especially with Grubb coming in and what he has done with quarterback competitions in his coaching past, I do think you do see at least, if he doesn't win the job, you're going to see at least one, if not two, of our other quarterbacks. Whereas this year, we just left the kid in for the whole time, regardless of what happened. I don't think you see that in this year's offense. I think you see a variety, especially with the nature of college football. You kind of got to feed the fairy to make everybody happy, especially if this offense performs how I think they're going to perform. I think we're going to be in more of a position to get those players in because, I mean, we can all say, let's face it, we weren't really in a position to kind of give our backups much of a chance to play the season as far as positively winning football games.
Dan? Okay, we'll get Joe Edwards. We will run the ball more with Grubb since they said Grubb did not run the ball much in Seattle. One of the reasons he was let go.
Well, on that, with Seattle, under Grubb, they were the 28th ranked rushing offense in the league. It was only 5 teams that rushed for less than 100 yards, and Seattle was one of them, along with Cleveland, Cincinnati, the Jets, and the Raiders, I think. So that's a good point, But I'm expecting it because he did run the ball a lot with Gabriel at Washington. So we shall see. I believe in him as a play caller and his ability to get balls into the hands of a playmaker.
Yeah, and I think Lou was even talking about that as well. That, I mean, he's going to run the ball.
This ain't NFL ain't college. Those are two different programs. Those are different problems he's dealing with. He's not able to reach. I mean, dealing with grown men on a daily basis and dealing with young men coming up in a program is night and day. And so not being able to run the ball in the NFL is way different, especially with the type of talent you're going up against in the NFL. Yeah. So you can't really take with a grain of salt that, he couldn't run the ball in Seattle. Well, Seattle didn't run the ball when they needed to anyways when the Super Bowl's on the line, so it doesn't really matter.
That's the Seattle problem. All right, one great thought. I love that. Joe Edwards, Dan, do we have a good chance at getting Tank Jones?
Like I said, follow the visit. He's been on campus quite a few times. We got him on campus, this past weekend right for the dead period. So I really like where Bama sits with Tank Jones. Yes.
There you go.
Gotta have him.
I heard that. Heard it from Luke. Gotta have him, guys. Great show as always. Even though half the Avengers have been caught off in the Affinity Wars and the abyss of internet and Nolans and all the other good stuff. But man, as always, brought it on this Tuesday night. But all good things must come to an end. And with that, tell everybody where you can be found, where you can be seen, where you can be heard. I will start with you, my man, Dan.
Yes. You catch me on Twitter, X, at the Final Whistle Dan. Instagram, Dan James IV. Facebook, Dan James IV. You catch me Tuesday nights right here on this network, 9 p.m. Eastern every weekend. Every Tuesday night. I'm sorry, every week. Wednesday nights, most Wednesday nights. Unfortunately, tomorrow night I will not be available. But the Crimson Dynasty, you can catch me there every other Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. But y'all be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Thanks everyone in the chat. Thanks for everyone that's watching. We appreciate all y'all for taking the time out of your day to spend with us.
LaShawn, my man, where can they find you, not find you?
You can find me on X Rolu241, Facebook and Instagram Lucian Graves. And you can find me staying next to the tablet because I'm interested to see if Hugh Freeze and Deshaun Watson are going to get a new guest at their offseason parties in the form of a kicker, Justin Tucker.
I did not even
Auburn's
go at
always
that
looking for
low-hanging
good
fruit
coaches.
tonight, all night.
Nah, I mean, we can't let it go without throwing an uppercut at Auburn because let's just
You're right.
I hate Auburn. Like they're trash. I don't give a damn if they have the second best basketball team in the nation. Roll dadgum Tide, ladies and gentlemen.
Roll Tide.
There you have it. Look, Hugh Freeze, man. So thankful for Justin Tucker this week, taking a little bit of heat off the side crawlers down in Lee County. But you still suck, Hugh. With that said, you can find me on Twitter X at Petty_Daniel, cheering on Hugh Freeze and all of his endeavors. And you can find me all over this network. Monday night, I'm on the opening kick with the most controversial man on the network, my man Smoke Dixon, 7 o'clock Central. Thursday nights, going hard in the paint, talking a little Alabama basketball. I'll be there with my man JT and Herb talking about Bama's big game with Arkansas in a little more depth. That'll be 7:30 Thursday night. But more importantly than anything, Tuesday nights, 8 Central, with my Avengers, here at the Final Whistle, talking all things Bama, talking all things, anything you need to know. Cold catch up, warm catch up. Who's going to be Bama starting lineman? Who the surprises are, which ain't nobody because recruiting's dead. But hey, we're still here to talk about it. It's the all season, but that don't mean stuff's over. Come be with us. Come join us. We're going to be talking stuff. It's not done. We're not giving up. We got next season to get ready for. So come join us all over the network. Hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter X, come over to YouTube to the Bama Standard. Hit that subscribe button so you will be clued into all the wonderful content here at this wonderful network. And with that said, man, we ended on those final 2 words. What is it, fellas?
Roll Tide.
Roll daggum Tide. And we don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Roll Tide. Don't give a piss about no cold ketchup.